Hey guys, welcome back to another video here on Toned In Entertainment where we love pop culture. Today, it's time for some more comic book reviews as I continue on with my series I call First Impressions, where we look at this week's #1 issues that I was interested in, give them a read, and see if they made enough of a good enough impression for me to carry on with them. This week, I am going to review 4 comics and we're going to swing right into things with SheHulk issue #1. Now last year, I read the 5-issue series of SheHulk and I really enjoyed it, so I was definitely excited for more adventures with Cindy Moon. And after reading issue #1 written here by Emily Kim, I can say if you enjoy the SheHulk character, you're going to enjoy this one as well. At the beginning of this issue, there's some setup to the main story here as we see a young girl fall into a crack in the earth while on a school trip that is at a place that is believed to be bodied in magic. And here in present day at the Met in New York City, a haunted exhibit has come to town. We also meet an internet blogger named Lucas who has been ruffling the feathers of Jameson by getting scoops on stories before Threats and Menace has a chance to even arrive at the scene. However, Lucas's thirst for breaking news is going to get him in trouble on a couple of occasions in this issue that will require the assistance of SheHulk to come to his aid. Now on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give issue #1 of SheHulk an 8 out of 10. Issue #1 is a quick read, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, as I felt this issue flowed extremely well. Now this issue is going to pick up 3 months later after volume #1 ended, and while Cindy was hoping that she'd be able to focus more on journalism, enjoying some fine dining, and keeping up with her very exciting social life, it will have to be put on the back burner as there's a new witch in town and she's very hungry. Next up, we have another one from Marvel Comics with the Silver Surfer Rebirth issue #1. As this issue opens, we see a ship being sucked into certain doom as it finds itself in the clutches of a gravitational pull of a black hole. But coming to its rescue is Legacy, Captain Marvel's son. And while Legacy does have great powers, he's still going to need the helping hand of the Silver Surfer. Now, as these two go on their way, Legacy has some questions for the Silver Surfer, specifically what his father was like. And then, in a blink of an eye, the Silver Surfer is suddenly in a conversation with his father, and they find themselves back in the middle of the Skrull War. And while reality has been shaken up for the most part, it appears for Captain Marvel, his fate appears to be the same. Now, as issue #1 wraps up, while the Silver Surfer may have lost one ally, it appears he's gained an unlikely one moving into issue #2 with Thanos. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give issue #1 of the Silver Surfer Rebirth a 7 out of 10. Just like SheHulk issue #1, this issue is almost over as fast as Thanos can snap his finger. Now, this is a retelling of a Silver Surfer story written here by Ron Mars. And as for someone like myself that never did read the original story, I did enjoy this tale, as I'm really interested to see how this 5-issue series plays out, as I feel like this story here with someone out there having fun with the reality gem can lead to some pretty interesting possibilities. Next up from Image Comics, we have Bolero issue #1. The main character here is a woman named Devon, and at the beginning of this issue, it appears that things are great in both her personal and love life, and even in her career as she's on her way to becoming a tattoo artist. However, as the story progresses, Devon finds herself in a place where she feels completely alone, as her love life is no more. Her friends are moving on with their lives, and as far as her career path goes, it might not work out, and she could really use a reset button in her life. Now, one night while sitting at a bar, she will meet this man of mystery who will not only help her drown her sorrows, but will also offer her the opportunity for a clean slate. Now, while for the most part this story was mostly about human emotions, the tone of this comic quickly takes a turn to the bizarre side as Devon finds herself face to face with a talking cat who can grant her a wish of starting anew. However, there are some catches, such as she can never return back to her previous reality, never hop more than 53 times, and most importantly, never use someone else's key. Now, after accepting this deal, Devon will have the opportunity to try out 53 multiverses to find the one she feels like she belongs in. However, I can already tell into Devin's first jump, things, well, they're going to be very challenging. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give issue number 1 of Bolero a 9 out of 10. Now, just like my pick of the week last week with Rain, I feel like Image Comics is really on a roll, giving us these really good and unique stories, and they succeed once again with Bolero issue number 1. Now, this is planned to be a 5-issue series, and with 52 jumps left, I can't wait to see what ideas writer Wyatt Kennedy and artist Luna Vecchio have in store for us. And finally, we have another one from Marvel Comics with She-Hulk issue number 1. Now, you only get one opportunity to make a first impression, and much like Jennifer Walters' life in this story, She-Hulk issue number 1 falls flat. Now, I do want to give writer Rainbow Rowell credit for making this issue very reader-friendly for those of us who aren't super fans of the She-Hulk character. But unfortunately, the story here in issue number 1, it kind of feels like a paint by numbers, where Jennifer is trying to hit the reset button in her life, but has several challenges that are thrown her way in this issue that I'm sure are going to play out over this 5-issue series. Now, when it comes to the end of issue number 1, just as Jessica feels like she can kick back and relax, well, she's greeted with a blast from the past. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give issue number 1 of She-Hulk a 5 out of 10. Now, is there a possibility that this series as a whole could be good? Yes, but as someone with limited time, issue number 1 did nothing to make me eager to come back for more. Alright guys, well that's going to wrap up this week's First Impressions comic book reviews. Now, out of the 4 issues I reviewed this week, did you read any of these 4 issues? And if you did, what are your thoughts? Comment down below. Now, this week we did have 3 from Marvel, and one of them definitely, I'm sorry, She-Hulk, it just didn't do enough to make a good enough of a first impression for me to continue on with. Now, as far as the Silver Surfer goes, yeah, I'll definitely like to check out that story down the line. And as far as Silk goes, I do plan to do a full comic book series review whenever this 5-issue series wraps up. Now, our pick of the week, Bolero, again from Image Comics. They're really doing some great stuff over at Image Comics, and I definitely am going to read all 5 issues of the Bolero series, and I definitely want to do a comic book series review when it all wraps up. Alright guys, if you like comic book reviews like this and all things pop culture, make sure you stay tuned in here to Toned In Entertainment for future videos.
Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.